Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Wealth Identity Summit. Today, we have an incredible guest who embodies what it means to break barriers and redefine success on your own terms. Jasmine Metson-Wilkes is an award-winning entrepreneur, filmmaker, and business mentor who started her global video marketing agency at just 21 years old. In just 2 years, she scaled her business to over 200K in profit and acquiring high-profile clients like Coca-Cola, Nespresso, and British Heart Foundation. But Jasmine's story doesn't stop there. She's an incredible award-winning documentary director, a passionate advocate for women in business, and now a sought-after mentor helping women start and scale their own service-based business. Jasmine's journey is not just about business success. It's about resilience, innovation, and saying yes to opportunities even when the odds are stacked up against you. Today, Jasmine is here to share her insights on starting from zero, scaling rapidly, and how you too can create a business that thrives. Jasmine, welcome and thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Deb. You're making me blush all of that information at the beginning. Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, this is going to be great. I'm so excited to learn from you today and find out as much as we can. Jasmine, your story is truly inspiring. You started your video marketing agency at just 21, which is incredible, and scaled it to over 200K profit in 2 years. What were some of the biggest challenges you faced in those early days, and how did you overcome them?
That's a really good question. For me, when I left university, I went straight to London and I really wanted to work as a documentary filmmaker for TV. So I wanted to work for broadcast, but I didn't have any experience in this industry. So I think one of the most important things that I needed was social proof. I needed to just start working in the industry, however that was, whatever that looked like. So what I ended up doing was working on strategies that meant I got in front of people so that I could actually be paid to create video content. So I ended up offering my services basically for free or low cost. I remember my first video production, I charged somebody £140 to film and edit them an event video. But what the event video did is they sent it around to everybody who was at that event and it opened so many doors. So I
Wow.
think the most important thing is just going out there, like I say, grabbing every opportunity, saying yes to whatever you come across, and really just growing your social proof and your testimonials.
I like that because you just never know what doors it's going to open.
No, exactly. You have no idea when somebody says to you, "Do you want to do this thing?" You might think, "Oh, I don't know, that sounds a bit, you know, or it doesn't sound like my kind of thing, or I don't really understand it." Just
Yeah.
explore it. Just say yes and be curious and just ask loads of questions.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying yes to this interview.
Well, that's it, isn't it? You know, you reached out to me and I thought, well, I have no idea what this is about, but I'm going to say yes and I want to find out more. And I did, and I loved it. And now I'm here. And hopefully, off the back of that, you end up meeting people.
Definitely. Well, thank you. You've worked with some huge brands like Coca-Cola and Nespresso and British Heart Foundation. For someone starting out, landing big clients feels like a dream. What advice do you have for entrepreneurs who want to attract high-profile clients, and what should they focus on?
Yeah, this is a good question because I think it's really about having a mixed approach. So being curious, learning and adapting is something that I would always recommend for anyone. So going out there, like I say, connecting with people and just knowing that you're on your own pathway, knowing that it might not come instantly, but if you keep on being your authentic self, if you keep on growing, if you keep on honing your craft, then eventually you will attract the types of people that you want to work with.
Awesome. Well, one of the things that stands out about your journey is how you've continuously evolved from running a video marketing agency to winning awards as a filmmaker and now coaching women entrepreneurs. How did you know when it was time to pivot? And what advice do you have for others who feel like they're ready to make a change?
Yeah, so the pivoting question is a really interesting one because sometimes in life, pivoting is a necessity, and sometimes pivoting is a choice. And sometimes we kind of dive into pivoting feeling very anxious about it. So when I left university and went to London and started my video marketing agency, I actually wanted to be a documentary director for broadcast. And I knew that I needed to start earning money somehow. So I started creating event videos, creating testimonial videos, creating marketing videos for companies. And even though it wasn't what I wanted to be doing, I knew that this might lead me at some point to my dream of working in the TV industry. But what I actually found is running my own business meant learning the foundations of being an entrepreneur, running a business, starting, scaling, and I just fell in love with it and thought, I absolutely love running a business. I love being a CEO. I love being a leader. And I love helping other people, clients mostly, with their marketing dreams via video content. And so, in a way, that's a pivot that happened naturally, quite organically, from thinking I was going to be this broadcast documentary director to, running a business, winning entrepreneurial awards, and scaling my business with that. And then I pivoted again because of necessity, really. I felt like I didn't want to run this business anymore. And I felt like it was my time to go into the industry and start exploring that documentary journey. And it was brilliant. And I did. And I worked for broadcast. I edited for CBeebies. I don't know if you've heard of that.
No?
It's a bit, you've heard of the BBC. So we have a children's BBC
Oh,
television
okay.
program. So I ended up editing for children's TV, actually. So I did that for a while, and then I went on to do independent documentaries. So I filmed the refugee crisis in Europe, and that went on to be premiered at cinemas in the UK and raised loads of money for refugees and asylum seekers. So I ended up following my dream there in terms of documentary directing and working for broadcast. And then I found my way into app development and e-learning programs through content creation because I was creating these films and these short documentaries, and they just slotted into content creation. So I ended up learning loads about the tech industry, which I absolutely loved. So again, another pivot into apps and marketing and comms and e-learning. And then I had my daughter. And again, I thought this is a perfect opportunity to stand back and think, how do I want to work with a family? There was probably, I could have continued traveling the world and filming and creating content and working with all of these businesses, but I actually wanted to stay at home and be with my kids. So that's when I started kind of thinking about my journey, thinking about what I can offer and thinking about what I'm passionate about, and landed on mentoring for women because I have a wealth of knowledge with business and enterprise and digital products and content creation, but I also love helping women. So yeah, so there's kind of lots of pivots in there.
Yeah,
I can see.
that's exciting that you had so many pivots and you have so much experience. I mean, just to be able to have all that different variety of experiences, that is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It's one of those things though that I have noticed in life that I can't remember the saying, but it's you're the master of I'm master of none, or like
Oh, jack of
what's
all trades and
there
master
we
of
go.
none.
There we go. So I had this at uni. I remember people saying to me at university, because at university you're meant to specialize in something. So you specialize in editing or cinematography or directing. So I specialized in directing, but I was also competent at filming and editing and producing. So I ended up running my business off of the back of being able to kind of do this whole holistic approach to video production and marketing and sales and comms and building a website. And it's a blessing and a curse in some ways because people would think, well, I'm not, you know, she's not the specialist in LinkedIn, or she's not the specialist in building websites. But what I am a specialist in is looking at everything holistically and pulling in what we need to when we need to. So it served me well in the end.
Oh, definitely, definitely. You're a big advocate for saying yes to opportunities and the power
Absolutely.
of networking. Can you share an example of how saying yes opened doors for you and what steps our audience can take to build powerful connections in their own industry?
Yeah, I've just found this my whole career, really. But a tangible example would be in the beginning when I was running my business, we scaled so quickly. We scaled from nothing to £200,000 profit within 2 years.
Wow.
And one of the ways that we did that was, like I always saying, is saying yes to the opportunity. So a friend of a friend of a friend needed somebody to support her with filming and editing around the globe for a marketing agency. And she said, I'd love to bring you with me, but it's a really low paid opportunity. So I think I got paid something like £400 to travel 4 countries in 2 months
Wow.
and edit 6 long format documentaries. It's a huge amount of work, a huge amount of work with not much money.
Mhm.
But I'm not thinking about money. I'm thinking about the long-term strategy here. I'm thinking about making connections. I'm thinking about doing a good job. I'm thinking if I work for this marketing agency, they might see my work and think, yeah, that's really brilliant, and recommend me to other people or want to hire me in the future. I also got to travel, so I love traveling so much. I'm a huge fan of traveling, meeting people. I got to meet people all over the world. And opportunities like that really opened the door for our agency, because we then were seen by that person as somebody that they could come to and say, look, you know, the next opportunity they had was working for Coca-Cola's corporate social responsibility program. And so there I traveled 3 countries in 3 weeks
Wow.
and, you know, met all these incredible women that Coca-Cola had supported as part of their documentary series that we were doing. So yeah, it's just about opening doors and saying yes to opportunity, regardless of, it's not just about money when
Yeah.
you're starting and when you're building. It's about saying yes to opportunity, the exposure, and putting yourself out there, really, and just knowing that if you're passionate about what you do and if you're taking the necessary steps forwards and you're staying true to yourself, you have integrity, you're being honest, good things will come and those connections will be made.
I love that. Love that. Scaling a business quickly requires more than just hard work. It's about having the right strategy. For those watching who want to scale their service-based business, what are 3 strategies or action steps that they could focus on right now?
Yeah, that's a really good question. There's obviously quite a lot that needs to be kind of looked over and fed in together to get to where you want to get to. But 3 things I could recommend that you start with is, firstly, clarity on your unique value proposition. So clarity on exactly what you're bringing to the table, and also looking at your target audience specifically and what their pain points are. So you're really targeting what they want. You are speaking directly to your customer, your ideal customer or clients. And secondly, I would say streamlining efficiency, delegating and automating where you can, because that takes up so much time,
Mhm.
especially in the early days. If you are starting out, you might think, well, I've got no clients, so I'm not going to use a CRM. I'm not going to use a program that automates things. And I'm thinking, well, at some point your business is going to take off, you're going to snowball, and then you're going to be flustered. You're going to wish that you had all those processes set up. So just set them up from the beginning. There's so many free and low cost options out there. You don't have to pay loads for that, but it's important to start laying those foundations to your business. And the third one I would say is marketing and sales, because Marketing is not a one-time thing. It's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing strategy. You can't just say, well, I've done my marketing now and sit back and see what happens.
Yeah.
So they would be my top three things for doing right now.
Awesome. Thank you. That is great tips and strategies. As a marketing and communications expert, you know the importance of branding. What are some of the biggest mistakes you see new entrepreneurs making with their branding, and how can they fix them?
Yeah. So the first thing I think that is drilled into everyone's brains is consistency. We've all heard about being consistent. But I think what we're really trying to say is you don't need to post out 10 times a day and keep doing 10 posts a day. You know, if you can post out more often and you can keep that consistent, then that's great. But find what is manageable for you and keep that consistent. So if your manageable kind of where you are is 1 to 3 posts on LinkedIn a week, then just stick with that and just keep that consistent. So I think consistency is so important. And then the other thing I would say is having your branding not matching your personality or your brand. So having your photography or your imagery, your fonts, your colors reflecting, if you are the brand, it needs to reflect you. If you are creating a brand and you've got brand values and brand propositions, you need to reflect that as well. And I see so many people who are, I guess, replicating their ideal person. So looking at their competitors and saying, well, I want to be like this person, and they have used all neutrals, so I'm going to use all neutrals. And I think for me, that's a real no.
Mhm.
And just leaning into what you are about, people will be drawn to that.
Awesome. I like that. So when you talk about branding and you say your fonts, how do you find a font that matches your brand?
It's a really good one. Do you know, there's so many, I mean, there's a lot of brand strategists and marketing experts out there. There's also, you know, you've got so many amazing resources now, you know, Canva, you can have a little play around in Canva if you want to. There's also free fonts you can download. I think there's Da Font. That's one that I used to use quite a lot. I'm not sure if it's still going, but there's loads of places you can get fonts from. I think if you are the brand, so I myself am my brand. And I feel like as a professional, I bring professional strategy and business, but I'm also very approachable. I'm a little bit fun. I'm not too serious, but I love hard work and I love getting results. So for me, finding a font that reflects that or a color scheme that reflects that is really important.
Mhm. I like that.
Yeah.
Well, you've mentioned the power of resilience and adapting to change, like how you continued working in the film industry and consulting, even through major life changes. What mindset shifts helped you stay motivated, especially during tough times? And how can our audience develop the same resilience?
Yeah, resilience is something that I talk about quite a lot, and it's something that most of my clients come to me with low resilience, wanting to build resilience, and also wanting to kind of silence their inner critic, as it were. And there's a few things that I do and that I recommend my clients do. So, one thing I do is I journal. I journal quite a lot. So, every morning I have at least 5 minutes where I journal and I actually manifest. So, what I do is I journal as if it's this time next year. So, I'll write the date, but I'll put 2025
Hmm.
and I'll journal as if it's this time next year. I have X amount of clients. I've done this, you know, X amount of talks. I have X amount of money in my bank account. I've been on X amount of holidays. You know, I've had this amount of time off. You know, I've got all of these amazing things, and that's sort of for me a way of manifesting and staying resilient and sort of knowing that if I follow this path, then good things will come.
Mhm.
So I think journaling is such an important part of resilience. I think staying true to yourself is really important. I think surrounding yourself with your best people, your family and your friends, and only people who are going to support you.
Mhm.
That's really important.
Well, you talk about the right people at the right,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
so important, the right people and surrounding yourself with the right people.
So important. There are a lot of negative people or jealous people or people who will want to use your skills to better themselves. And I think as long as you stay true to yourself and you stay humble and you stay honest and surround yourself with the right people, then you are on the right track, basically.
Yeah, that's so important.
So important. I think one other thing I would really recommend for resilience, though, is I have I have actually undertaken therapy in my
Mhm.
lifetime, and I have had coaches and I've had mentors, and I think that they are fantastic, which is one of the reasons why I love doing what I do.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think I can't speak highly enough of that whole category of support for whatever your needs are.
Yeah. Even the mentor needs a mentor.
Well, exactly. Yeah. I have a brilliant coach at the moment who's helping me, coach mentor. And for my personal life, I have a therapist. So
Yeah. And it just helps you grow and reach that next level.
absolutely. Yeah, because we're always growing and we're always learning and we can always push ourselves further if we want to.
Yeah. Well, you talk about being around the right people and you talk about journaling and looking to the future of next year. Do you have anything coming up? Anything that you're working on? Do you have some projects you're working on?
Yes, so I'm actually working on a video series myself where I'm going to be talking to inspirational entrepreneurs. So I'm hoping that that will be released at the end of November during Leadership Week. So that's one thing that I'm working on at the moment, which I'm really excited about. I've got some brilliant women lined up.
Awesome. That's exciting.
Yeah, so exciting. And then, I've got my one-to-one mentorship programs, which I run, and they're doing really well at the moment. I've actually filled all the spaces for this side of Christmas. So I'll be opening some more spaces in the new year. I've got my strategy days. So I hold days for entrepreneurs who want to iron out their strategy for 2025. And I'll probably be looking into some group programs next year because I've had a few people inquire as to whether they can come on board as a group. And I love group programs because I feel like for me, I'm such a sociable person. I love learning from other people, growing with other entrepreneurs, and making connections. So,
Yeah,
yeah, lots of exciting things on the horizon.
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I can tell you're so passionate about supporting women in business and you offer one-on-one coaching and you help with starting and scaling, which is exciting.
Hmm.
Can you tell us more about your mentor programs or your free offer for the audience and how can the audience connect with you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram, LinkedIn. My name is Jasmine Metson-Wilkes, and I have my website. You can also subscribe to my newsletter where I share tips and information and sometimes some cheeky discounts to my days and my coaching offers. I've got as I said before, I've got my one-to-one coaching and mentorship programs. So that's to help women start and scale their businesses. I've had some fantastic results with clients, which I'm so proud of. So clients of mine have ran campaigns that I've supported them with, which have seen a 300% increase in footfall to their clinics. They've also managed to scale to 5 or 10K months. They've also worked with major brands. So yeah, I'm just loving my clients. I've got so many diverse women who are running education and support for menopausal women, women who are astrologists, women who want to start, yoga businesses. So loads of different service-based businesses basically is who I work with. Yeah.
I like that. That's awesome. Well, if we had to kind of give the audience a review, I know you want them to take opportunities, open all those doors, say yes a lot, and get out there. Do you have any other? Did I miss anything for them to get started on today?
I think that's it. And definitely connect with me if you want to chat about anything. I'm an open book. I love to connect with people. I love to hear how your businesses are going. I think I forgot to mention that I've got my strategy checklist that I'm giving away for audience members. So it's a checklist of absolutely everything that you need to think about to create your strategy for 2025. So if
Oh,
you're keen on
awesome.
that, yeah, connect with us and you can subscribe to my newsletter.
Awesome. Well, that'll be great that to get that strategy list. That'll be awesome. Get them all ready for 2025.
Exactly. I think preparation is key. I don't know if I mentioned that before, but for me, I'm such a planner. I manifest in the way that I prepare my cash flow forecasts for next year. I prepare my strategies and then I just follow my plans.
Awesome. I like that. Well, Jasmine, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today. Your story is powerful reminder that success is not just about talent or luck. It's about saying yes, taking action, and constantly pushing past barriers. To our audience, Jasmine has given us some fantastic insights on scaling a business, the power of networking, and the importance of resilience. If you're looking to start or grow your service-based business, I encourage you to connect with Jasmine and take advantage of her free offer. The link is just below this video. Jasmine, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here. Your passion for supporting other women and your willingness to share the ups and downs of your own journey are truly inspiring. Thank you for being a part of the Wealth Identity Summit. And I know our audience will take away so much from your story. Thank you again, Jasmine.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.